Hello, welcome to Search with Sean Live, and this is part three. So yeah, we're really excited about this one. Not as many videos as the last few streams, but we have got five great videos today. So really looking forward to sharing those with you. Before I go into the videos, obviously the last two streaming events were huge and had over many hours worth of digital marketing insights. So if you did miss that, the previous 2 days of streaming, do go on to the YouTube channel, search it Sean, and you'll find all the individual videos that were streamed on those events. Or you can watch the whole thing back. There's day one and day two of Search it Sean Live. So yeah, great watching. And like those events, I will also be posting up these five videos individually. So yeah, I want to do at least amount of talking today as possible. One, because I've got a slight flu, but also I want to show you these great videos, and they're really interesting on a range of digital marketing topics. So yeah, first of all, we're going to go to Gabriella Jennifer Troxler, and this was all about mastering internal linking, which I think we all know if you work in SEO, how important internal linking is. So I'm just going to get the video going, and yeah, hope you enjoy, and please like the video and share it with others, and also a big thank you to those who have contributed again to Search with Sean Live. I really do appreciate it. So here we go.
Hello, everyone. My
Hello,
pleasure to be
everyone. My
here
pleasure to
today
be here.
talking to you about mastering internal linking, a topic that every website owner and SEO should know about. So let's dive into it. Quick word about myself. My name is Gabby. I'm an SEO consultant and trainer based in Switzerland. And in a previous life, I've also founded one of the most successful e-commerce startups in Switzerland. Faye, check it out, and also do follow me on LinkedIn, please. I do not have a personal website. I just use LinkedIn and I post SEO bits every now and then. So do give me a follow. Let's dive into this little problem statement. Do any of the following sound familiar? Your content is optimized, quote unquote, but still not performing well. You may have high performing blog posts, but products don't perform as well. Or new products, new pages in general, really take a long time before they get the visibility that they really deserve and that you would like them to have. In all of these cases, internal linking may be the root cause. So let's look at this. How do internal links even work and why are they so important in SEO? Well, it's basically how Google bots and other search engines even discover new pages and see the web. So they crawl websites via links. They read out the anchor text, the link text, and this is how they learn topically, semantically what the page is about. And internal links also help distribute authority across your web pages. Now, this is important. This is the concept of PageRank. You can also call it link juice. That's kind of an older word to talk about it. You can call it authority. You can call it reputation. The basic concept just is that links distribute that authority. The more links a page receives, the more important it is deemed in the eyes of search engines. And the lower a page is hidden, so the more clicks it takes to get to that page in the site structure, the less important it is. Now, this is also how these links benefit SEO because, of course, you want search engines to even know about your frequently via links. And this is how search engines understand your site and how different pages are topically, semantically interlinked. So you can tell search engines by placing links strategically which of your pages are more important for a certain keyword. Also, if you place links correctly and in a helpful manner, that also improves user experience, which then in turn creates positive user signals, which can help in ranking. So it's a win-win situation for all. Now, visualization sometimes helps. So this is kind of this concept of link juice comes in. The home page, that's the upper container here in yellow and red, that's usually the page that gets the most authority within your website. It also gets the most external backlinks from other websites. This is here in yellow. And as you can see, it distributes this authority via clicks, via links to other pages on that very website. And the lower in the site structure a page is, the less link juice it receives. Some rules for link juice. So only connect thematically related pages, because you might think, oh, so I'm just going to link to my certain page that I want to strengthen from everywhere. No, that doesn't make sense. Please do um, contribute to the overall user experience and only place links where it makes sense contextually. But do make sure to include all of your pages. Don't create orphan pages. We're going to get to that in a second as well. And the more link juice a page gets, the more important it is. I've said it before. Do really think about your internal linking as a strategy that you can adapt and that you should take care of. So if you say, well, I do have a website now and I've already placed my internal links, of course, whenever I publish a new blog post, I'm placing internal links as well, but I don't really have full overview of how my pages are connected in terms of links. Then the next one is for you. How do we debug internal linking when we already have an existing website? So there are a few ways of doing this and a few ways or a few things you can look at in a link audit. We're looking at today at underperforming pages. First step would be going to Search Console. That's a free tool by Google, I'm sure. Most of you know it. It's a tool every SEO should use and also every webmaster. So here in the performance report, you can just check out the pages that don't receive as many organic clicks as you would like them to receive. But do also bear in mind that in Search Console, you have a row limit of 1,000. So if your page is bigger than that, you'd better think about another solution. One of these solutions is also Search Analytics for Sheets. If you like working in Google Sheets, you can just pull the Search Console data into a Google Sheet and it will circumvent this 1,000 row limit. And there you can just filter by clicks, search by clicks, I must say. And you can see which pages don't really receive as many clicks as you would like them. Now you can also do a crawl, for example, in Screaming Frog. I really love Screaming Frog. I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but I would like to be. So if you finished your crawl, then you can just go to the links tab in Screaming Frog and filter by crawl depth or sort by crawl depth. The higher the crawl depth, the deeper hidden a page is within your structure. So if there you find pages that are really important to you with a high crawl depth, that's something you could work on. What are the solutions? Do make these pages more accessible by lifting them out of the depths. You can consider adding them to a main navigation or other link shortcuts, and in general to not create such low depths. Just keep your sitemaps under control and your site structure neat, and that's what will help you there. Now, second thing, that's kind of the other side of the coin here, poorly linked pages that will consequently probably also not perform very well. So in that Screaming Frog crawl, you can go to the unique in links column in the links tab, and there you can see how many unique links that page receives. And you can also sort by higher or lower number there. In Search Console, there's also a links report, and you can see how many of your pages or which pages receive how many internal links. It's also very helpful. Of course, also here, there's a data limit, so export that data. And what you can do, of course, you can improve the internal linking to that page. And how you're going to do that, we can look at that in a minute. The third thing you can look at in a link audit is orphan pages. Orphan pages are pretty much pages that can't be reached via internal links. So they do exist, but they're not linked within the site structure. Users can land on these orphan URLs by external sources, for example, by sitemap, also by newsletters, bookmarks, other external links. So search engines might still find those orphan URLs, and you might not even be aware that you have them. You might think this is nearly impossible, but it's orphan URLs are actually, or orphan pages are more common than you might think. This might be pages that were never meant to go live but are live, pages that maybe belong to an older campaign and all the ingoing links were deleted, but the page itself was not. So there are many ways that orphan URLs can exist. And they're pretty hard to track because a crawler, like Googlebot as well, and also Screaming Frog, they find pages via links. So how are you going to find orphan pages that don't have links pointing to them? It's exactly finding them is only possible via links, so via external links that you might not be thinking of. So in this case, we're going to look at how you can find orphan pages that are in the sitemap but not linked anywhere else. So in Screaming Frog, before you crawl the page, you have to go to crawl configuration and make sure that the sitemaps are discovered as well. And then after you crawl, you're going to the crawl analysis and tick those external sources that you have, in this case, sitemaps. And then when you perform a crawl analysis, you can, after that, go to the sitemaps tab and choose in the drop-down menu orphan URLs, and it will already be populated with those orphan URLs. So the important thing is to take those 2 steps to make sure the sitemaps are crawled, and then to do the crawl analysis on the sitemaps and on the entire crawl. So this is really made easy for you by Screaming Frog. What do you do with these pages? You either decide you don't need them, you delete them, you forward-tend them, you redirect them, or you need the pages and then you actually need to give them more life, to make them accessible, to include them in the navigation, in the content, wherever, but not leave them as they are. There are many other things you could do in a link audit. You could look for non-descriptive anchor text, for no-follow links, for JavaScript links, which are problematic in themselves. There are other things. I can't include them all in this presentation. I do have a Screaming Frog tutorial on the Screaming Frog blog that goes into more depth and more detail and more different things you can do in a linking audit. So if you go onto my LinkedIn profile, there's the link also included to that tutorial, and you can read some more and step-by-step guides for all those internal linking audits. What I do want to show you as well today is how to find internal linking opportunities. So you know now that you have a page that isn't included in as many links as you would like. How do you find more opportunities to include that page? When you publish also a new product and you realize that's the reason why my new products are never seen, it's because they're not interlinked. So how do you find link opportunities? You can use the site operator. You can use internal search on your website. You can use threshold keywords in Search Console or custom extraction in Screaming Frog, and you can automate that process. So the internal search, it is great. So if I on fay.ch, if I want to interlink a blog post about basil, I look for basil on the internal search, and wherever basil as a word pops up in my website, I can link to that blog post. But you have to be sure you know the limits and caveats of your internal search. In that case, it only gave me one result, and that's simply not true. I know there are products related to basil. I know there are more blog posts. So your internal search might not be functional for that kind of thing that you want it to perform now. So a better option is to use the site operator, site dot or colon your website, and then in quotation marks your keyword, and that will give you not every page, but quite a few pages with that keyword on there, and that can be a great starting point to find those pages and to link then that keyword as an anchor text to your basil blog post. Kind of another way to look at it is also to go into Search Console and look at the queries that bring in users on your website, and you can find queries that aren't or don't generate as many clicks as you would like them to do, and then use that as a keyword in new links. And more, and you can also go onto the links report in Search Console. There you can also see how many times you used which anchor text. That's kind of additional information that you can get there as well. But to have a more complete picture, then the site operator, you can use Screaming Frog custom search. So there within the custom search, before you do a crawl, you can add the keywords that you're looking for. You can add up to 100, which is overkill for many of our use cases. And within that custom search, you can specify, which I really love, that you're not only looking within the HTML for that certain keyword, basil, for example, but you're looking in the page text and in the page text that isn't already an anchor text, so that isn't already a link. So that really facilitates and makes it much easier for you to find linking opportunities. After you perform the crawl, you can go to the custom search tab, and there you see all the pages that do not at the moment contain that keyword that you were looking for. And what do? Of course, you set actually the link. Now, this can be very tedious, so we're also going to look at some automation strategies. Those are just some ideas. I know there are many, many tools out there. There might be tools that aren't in this presentation because with AI, so many interlinking tools are on the rise right now. I haven't found one that I really, really love and that I can recommend. So I'm just including some options here, especially for WordPress. There are many plugins. The Link Whisper Pro is a pretty famous one. It's will make suggestions while you're writing a blog post about which pages you can link to. You can find orphan pages with Link Whisper Pro, and you can automate internal linking in that you set up key phrases, and every time that key phrase appears in a new blog post, for example, then it already contains the link to that blog post or product that you want it to. And in bulk, you can do that with that Search Analytics for Sheet extension. That is also free, by the way, in Google Sheets. So for every URL, you can construct a main keyword, a query. You can pull in the main query even with the Search Analytics for Sheet. If you group by page by query, you'll get the main query for each page, and then you can upload that into Link Whisper Pro, and for every one of these queries it will make the link to that actual page. You could also, if you're not happy with that main query, you could also use GPT for Sheets or a Python script to really extract the main keyword of that certain page. Now for other CMS, as I said, there are many, many options. One that isn't an AI tool is also the internal linking opportunity generator. It's based on, you just need a report from a crawler that can be Screaming Frog. It can also be SiteBulb. And you need SEMrush. And there are other options where you need Search Console or another crawler. So I do recommend trying this out. I'm just going to show you how the internal linking opportunity generator would look like. It's not an automation, but it will give you these options. So you'll see on every URL a certain keyword that appears on that URL is recommended for that. And then you still have to implement this. So these are some options to start with automation and with finding internal linking opportunities in bulk. And this is how I would like to conclude my presentation. So please do find me on LinkedIn, give me a follow, read my SEO posts that I do every now and then, find my internal linking tutorial on Screaming Frog, and also do hit me up if you have questions, if you would like to discuss anything, or if you need help with your internal linking setup. Thank you very much, Sean, for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you today, and see you soon.
Okay, we're back. Yeah, no, that was fantastic, Gabriella. Thank you. And yeah, I know there's some sound issues. if you create content and you stream live, you'll realize that you could pay for the best internet. You pay for the best software. I spend a lot of money on both of those things, and you still can't get it 100%. But that's life. And like I said, all these videos will be uploaded individually. So hopefully, the sound issues will be resolved then, and also. Especially on LinkedIn, if you're watching there, you can use the subtitle functionality, which seems to be quite good. So, yeah, again, sorry about that, but there's nothing more I can do apart from I'm paying for the best Leicester. So, yeah, the next video is from John Hudson, who's been on the channel a few times. And this is all around maximizing the impact of your content with SEO. So, yeah, it should be a good one. I'll get that lined up. And yeah, again, thank you to all those that have contributed so far. And make sure I get the right one here.
Hi everyone, welcome to my session. It's maximise the impact of your content with SEO. So thank you very much to Sean for putting together this event. Really honoured to be asked to speak at the event. So hopefully I can share some knowledge as to how we consider content, how we approach the optimization of it, and potentially you can factor that into your current workflow and see if you can get more organic traffic and more leverage out of your content moving forward in the future. So we're Inc Digital. This is just a very quick bit about us. So we cover all these channels as a general competency, but we are relatively full digital. But that's enough about us as a company, a little bit about me. So generally speaking, I've been involved in digital marketing for probably about 21 years. So I basically, straight out of uni, started learning about this completely on my own in the evenings after work. And it kind of just went from there. So we've been blessed with working across like many different brands across many different territories, some of which are demonstrated here. So despite me having a broader experience across digital, SEO has very much been at the core of my career and probably been the vast majority of it as well. So, of course, probably preaching to the converted, but why is SEO important? So, of course, as we all know, in today's world, although very much subject to change in the not too distant future, search engines are still very much a starting point for the majority of people when they're kind of embarking on researching into something or trying to buy something. So, of course, being ever present within search is super important. But, of course, more so, SEO does actually breed content production in a way that can be distributed across other channels as well. So even though you're going to be getting SEO results, if you think about it from a more holistic point of view, you will actually be getting a lot of bang for your buck by deploying SEO-centric content based on audience needs and then getting in front of those audiences across the different spectrums of the digital landscape, as everyone says these days. Excuse me. So content strategy and production. So this is how we do it. There'll be different nuances based on need, of course. People will go about lengthening this process or shortening this process, but this is ultimately how we work. So certainly when it comes to working with clients or indeed our own content, we would really start to get under the hood of the business that we're working with. So we really do need to understand the landscape they're operating in, the general sectors they're operating in, what kind of audiences they have, and then we need to understand their end goals as well. So what is the purpose of this content? How is it going to factor in to the overall consumer journey that they have? And then ultimately, how does it help shepherd those people into making an inquiry or making a purchase? So we do that with a kickoff session. We understand things like tone of voice, who the target audience is, what kind of pain points could be a possibility. Based on that kickoff session, we in effect interview our clients and then get an understanding as to why people would go to that business to get their problem solved. And then off the back of that, we then also look into competitors. So what is the general market doing in terms of content production? Are they doing a good job? Are they doing a terrible job? Are they doing a mediocre job? Are there gaps and opportunities to sort of exploit and get those quick wins? So based on that versus our client, we then do a gap analysis to see where the shortcomings are on the competitor side, the shortcomings are on our side, and then where could we operate in terms of getting those gaps filled and then surpass our competitors as well. Then off the back of that, we can create sort of topics. So generally speaking, we consider it as we cluster things together to build out topics and subtopics. So then that really goes its way to lending kind of authority in that space. So the more you talk about something with high quality expert content, the more likely you're considered to be an expert within that field. And therefore you've got that topical authority, which really does have a nice trickle down effect for your overall rankings and positions and visibility across search. Then we understand about how we map this out in terms of like the calendar year, in effect, what kind of content is going to be created first and then pushed live. This could be based on any factors such as general seasonality from a search demand point of view, or more business factors in terms of there's a new product coming out, a new service, a new offering, or there's an absolute critical business need to be more visible for a particular thing. So we prioritize based on a number of factors, seasonality being the absolute staple, but if there's other factors that we need to factor in, we do so. Then we produce the content brief. So that is a full-scale document whereby we go about producing all the information, providing all the information for the content writer, either our content writers or our client-side content writers, to give them everything they need to produce that content. And then it goes through the production and editorial phase and the go live. So how does this look in terms of tangible examples? So the competitor analysis, for instance, we would be looking at their equivalent of the blog, typically. So today we'll be talking about more kind of blog-centric type content rather than landing page type content for services. But the premise is very similar anyway. So we look at each of the competitors for their equivalent of their blog section. We understand how often they typically post, whether or not it's kind of stagnated and they've stopped posting for a long time. What kind of things do they cover? And also, and from an estimated standpoint, what their top performing posts are based on the fact of the estimated traffic from a tool such as SEMrush. Of course, can't stress enough, it is estimated. What keywords they rank for, the volume of keywords they rank for, and how much does it contribute to their overall site traffic, again, based on those estimations. So we put that into a matrix so we can understand who the top players are within this space, and then also align that alongside the client that we're working with. Then we go about putting this together in the keyword gap analysis. And again, by way of an example as to what this looks like, we would get the selection of keywords, the approximate intent. Typically, it's going to be informational for blog or resource type content, but there could be some less informational centric terms that can slip in there sometimes, and therefore you can add that nuance to the content to make sure that there's a much clearer call to action to sort of make a more committed action, such as book a call or start a demo, whatever it may be. The approximate search volume of those keywords. The estimated keyword difficulty. So, of course, in isolation, that's just a guidance at best. What we can also now do is also align that with regards to the personal keyword difficulty based on the domain authority that we're working with. And therefore, of course, it could be a case of, in the instance of project plan as a keyword is generally speaking a high difficulty, but then when you plug in the client's URL, it could actually be quote unquote easier to rank for, or indeed harder. So we get a bit of an understanding as to where our client sits as well in terms of authority within that space. And then the current position for the keyword. Now that's based on the URL that we're looking at. So for instance, if it would be /blog, it's the actual landing page that ranks for that keyword, if any, and then it's what position that currently is. And then you map that against the competitor set as by way of this example. So how do we do this? So there's multiple ways. So for instance, you would put in SEMrush, we typically use SEMrush. So you'd put in the specific URL for the blog section, and then you put that for the competitors. So of course, sometimes it could be resources, it could be insights, whatever their equivalent is, and then make sure it's selected as a subfolder, or of course a subdomain if they've got, say, blog.competitor1.com, for instance. Make sure you've got the right settings, and of course choose your target market, and then you can go about understanding all of those metrics that I just showed you earlier in that table. So moving on into topic analysis. So once we've identified a topic, we then dig deeper into the sort of overarching subtopics within that, the questions around that. So this can then sort of span out into multiple subtopics. So as an example, sprint planning as a master topic, then it could be a case of that breaks down into either subtopics or the supporting information to make sure that your sprint planning article is the best it can be in respect of it's covering all angles and all typical questions that are asked. So how do we do this? So a few ways. So again, utilizing SEMrush, we go into the topic research section and you put in your primary keyword, the target market, and then as you can see, you're greeted with a lot of different topics that if you expand them over to the left-hand side, you'll see top performing articles based on the number of links they've acquired. So then you can get a feel for what could naturally attract links as well. So you can dig into those, analyze those, and understand what they write about and what you could also utilize in your content moving forward. And then the top questions as well over to the right-hand section. And you can also utilize the different views. So you can utilize the mind map view so you can see all the types of keywords that are connected to your primary keyword. So digging into this takes time, but it's well worth it because you can get a general feel for the topic at hand and where you can go in respect of you can then build out not only sprint planning, but you can build out content around Scrum Masters, product managers, product owners, software development, etc. And then, for instance, sprint planning for software development and all of that kind of additional information that you can add. And of course, from a general metrics point of view, you've got an approximate search volume for all keywords associated to, say, Scrum Master in this case. So as a flat line, without taking into consideration seasonality, it's approximately 12,000 searches per month for keywords related to Scrum Master, and a perceived average difficulty of about 59% out of 100. So, of course, it's reasonably difficult to get that topic ranked, but of course, it's very achievable based on the other work that you would be doing. Another way to get this information would also be answer the public. So you may well be familiar with this. You can do it for free, but it is limited to a few searches per day. And then also, of course, you've got limited information. But again, it can give you an appreciation right out the gate as to what kind of questions people are asking. So you would put in your keyword and your target market. You can also do it against Bing, YouTube, TikTok, and Amazon, which can be very, very handy. So what this does is this actually scrapes Google Suggest. So for instance, it would put in sprint planning, then a space, and then it will scrape the Google Suggest. Then it will also do a space, then the letter A, then it will scrape those results, then the letter B, and so on and so forth. So that's how we get that information. So you can get a feel for it's going to be popular search terms that are within there because they're being served in Google Suggest. Another equivalent, which is similar but different, is called Also Asked. So again, free, you can do a couple of searches per day and of course limited features. So you put in your keyword, target market as you have done before, and then you'll get kind of a full set of questions that are being asked around that. Now, the difference with this is this actually scrapes the people also asked on the Google search results. So not the Google Suggest, but the people also asked. So the slight advantage of this one is it can be a bit more real time. So Google Suggest is born out of kind of popular searches over a period of time. But of course, if you've got a relatively fresh topic that's just happening, then Also Asked is likely to have that information almost instantaneously because it's able to see if Google is serving also that people also ask results and in turn what those are. So we like to combine all three elements: SEMrush topics analysis, people also answer the public, and Also Asked, just to try and get a breadth of information that we can then consolidate down into the topics of our choice. Then we put this into the calendar. So of course, it will be a case of mapping keywords with the approximate search volume to the topic, the suggested title, the suggested H1 tag, if there's going to be internal linking, etc. So we map everything out, and then we can go about prioritizing things in respect of quicker wins or longer term plays. And then that then builds out into an actual schedule of creation. So the content briefing side of things, we do this for any type of content, be it a static landing page or a blog type post. So as an example, I mean, it's a longer document than what the screenshot is presenting, but you can see we have who the content is for, what the overarching topic is, primary keywords, supporting keywords, the approximate word count as well. And again, this is just to get a feel for if on average the top 10 results are about 1,000 words, you know that in and around 1,000 words, it doesn't have to be exact, it doesn't have to be more, but in and around 1,000 words, if you're able to produce high quality content that surpasses the others in terms of depth, then you've got an immediate base to work from, that you know that a 200-word article is unlikely to cut it against that landscape. So you get an appreciation for that. Then the title, the description, target audience, what we want the people to do as well once they have read that content, and then our writers can factor that all in respect of the angle in which it's written. So, of course, it now goes into the production. So from our point of view, from the project management side of things, everything is assigned to our writer, and also the SEO account manager as well, where appropriate. So as an example, the account manager would do all the research, put forward all the briefing, and then it goes on to the content writer. So, of course, it will be a case of each person is responsible for a particular task associated to a subtask that's associated to the primary task. And then we've got a running track of that content going live. And then we know where we're at with any given content at any given time, and if there's any bottlenecks as well in respect of content production. So we do also, of course, pass on the content for our clients to sign off and review, and then any amends that need to be made gets factored into the schedule as well. So it's not only just a case of producing good content, it's also a case of showcasing that you are an authority within the space. So you may be aware of the EAT kind of, I wouldn't say ranking factor, but consideration that Google had a few years ago now to understand who is considered an authority in the space. So originally it was EAT, which was expertise, authority, and trust. Now they added, again, probably about a year ago or so, they've added the extra E, which is experience. So it's all very well alluding to the fact that you are an expert, but if you can showcase experience, all the better. So how do we factor this in? So as I mentioned earlier, it's not a direct ranking factor, but if you have the ability to showcase this, you absolutely should, and it's well worth it. So ultimately, we always try and understand if there's a person or multiple people within the business that can be associated to topics. So it could be a case of if it's a travel client that we're working with, could they in effect be the Spain correspondent? So they're the expert of all things Spain, and any blog posts associated to that are written by that person. They can sort of put in anecdotes, they can put in personal experiences, all of that within the content. And of course, we've got that entity that is identified from a schema markup point of view for authorship, etc. But then also the fact that we'll be able to go about making sure that those signals are passing through to that author bio. And then the full author bio really does go to town in explaining all their history, their experience, their expertise, any accreditations, etc. they've got. So then that really kind of connects the dots as far as Google is concerned, because they've got an author bio page with all the detail, all their history. They've got every blog post associated to that topic is then also marked up with the fact of it was written by that person, that entity. And then in the future, which I'll come on to in a moment, we'll be able to distribute that content and therefore link all back to the author bio. So how do we report on success of content? Because of course, generally speaking, content production in its own right isn't going to directly influence or directly create, I should say, sales or indeed leads. So how do we make sure that content production does get a fair review in respect of its effectiveness, whilst looking at it through the lens of it still contributes to the bottom line? So from a sort of reporting KPI framework point of view, we generally speaking break it down into sort of different stages. So at a top level, it's awareness, consideration, intent, and then the type of metric that we'd be looking at to understand the contribution to that stage of the funnel that is made. So for instance, for the awareness side of things, It'll be based on impressions, average position, and number of keywords in the top 100. For the consideration side of things, that'll be brand. For the consideration side of things, it'll be impressions, non-brand keywords, click-through rate, organic traffic received, and then the intent is the engagement rate centric metrics, and of course the conversion rate. Then it's a case of we understand whether or not it's like going up is good, going down is bad, and of course the source of the data as well. So be it Search Console, SEMrush, GA4, whatever it may be. So this is a nice framework to kind of anchor the performance of content and sort of set that expectation up front in respect of it is about general awareness about through each stage of the journey, not a direct conversion necessarily. So once we've gone about researching, writing, optimizing for SEO, we should be now getting tangible results in respect of extra visibility, more traffic, more engagement. But how do we take that further? So with the fact that, of course, Google's market share arguably is going to somewhat decline as to the volume in which it's going to decline, very unknown. But what with the likelihood of the large language models taking some search volume away from search engines, plus the social platforms, with the likes of TikTok being used as a bit of a search engine nowadays. Instagram has been used as a bit of a search engine for a number of years, but the large language models are being kind of utilized now as a bit of a search engine. And of course, with ChatGPT in particular releasing the search function, that could erode this market share even further and make it a lot more fragmented. So how do we combat this, for want of a better description, and make sure that the content we produce is not just going to be gathering dust and not be seen because we've got a challenge to rank for it in the first place. And then, of course, not everyone's going to be using Google so much as they used to. So the production of content typically, certainly from an SEO point of view, would be text-based content. So, of course, how do we get it out there? So could you carve up that blog post into multiple LinkedIn posts? So you can take a segment, you could either turn it into a carousel, or you can turn it into a series of posts related to that blog post, and then carve it up into some really nice sound bites, reword it appropriately, turn it into a point of view, whatever it may be. Can you put that in onto LinkedIn if your audience is there, of course? Similarly, could you return that into a different format of video? So could you take the core of the article, turn that into a script of sorts, and turn that into a video? Now, the video could be animation, it could be talking head, it could be stock video, it could be a combination of all three. Whatever it is, whatever production capabilities you have, I would certainly encourage it to get put into a video and then also put onto YouTube, fully optimized for YouTube. And of course, you can then embed it on the blog post itself as well to increase that engagement rate, and ultimately average dwell time will increase as well. Plus also, of course, you've got people that would consume information in different ways. You'll have people that would prefer written content, you'll prefer people that prefer visual or audio. And of course, X and equivalents in terms of those types of social platforms where it's kind of shorter form content distribution. Again, typically in text form, but you could also no doubt upload the video that you've fully optimized. You can upload that into platforms such as X, of course, or indeed add images. And then it will be a case of you can turn that into multiple X posts, similar to the multiple LinkedIn posts. So if your audience is a little bit more less B2B and more B2C, potentially X or equivalent platforms of that nature could be a bit more of a route versus LinkedIn. To support the article in its own right, custom images, and that could be infographics, that could be photos, that could be anything that will support the article in its own right. And of course, that could be optimized from a Google image point of view. So you'll be able to rank in Google Images for keywords related to that content. And then, of course, that's another touch point in terms of if it's branded, if it's got a sort of logo appended to it, you'll get that extra visibility as well. And of course, you can turn that into infographics, turn that content into infographics for further distribution. So you'd be able to have your content with infographic hosted on other websites, linking back to the original source. And so that's another great way to get distribution and general coverage as well. If at all appropriate, you can, of course, have an image that would be very, very eye-catching, put it on Pinterest, get Pinterest traffic, drive that to the original blog or indeed the website. And then, of course, the more exposure you get on Pinterest, the more likelihood you're going to get that traffic click through. And also, of course, you've got links from Pinterest, which aren't devalued in any way. They're pretty important links that you can be getting. Likewise with YouTube. And of course, likewise with YouTube, you'd be able to link back to the author bio of the original author for that article. And lastly, can you turn the blog post into audio? So in effect, a mini podcast in respect of what that particular blog post is about, and not only embed it onto the blog post, similar to the YouTube video, where it will increase dwell time and also general accessibility, but could it be in effect uploaded to podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, etc.? And could you get listeners from that? And of course, if you get listeners from that, you can then potentially attract people to your brand and attract people to the website. So that's how you can go about repurposing and distribution of your SEO-centric content. What I would encourage is you choose a platform first to begin with that your audience typically resides, and work out a process to make sure that that content from start to finish has everything factored in, and it's a very solid process in respect of making it scalable and systematic to get your article into a video, for instance, and then published and optimized onto YouTube before you move on to the other platforms. So you don't have to be everywhere, but you do need to consider your distribution off the back of the great content that you're creating anyway. So that's it from me. Hopefully that's of help. And good luck with your content optimization in the future. Hopefully this has given you an idea as to what you could potentially utilize for your content production processes, and also, of course, the distribution side of things. So speak soon and enjoy the rest of the event.
Unmute. Great. Thanks, John. And if you haven't watched already, so I'm just doing housekeeping. If you haven't watched already, I have interviewed John on the channel before, and also he was one of our Real Talk with Sean shows that are really great. So suggest you go and watch them on Search for Sean. And I'll go on to the next one and stop talking because it's a good one. I think all SEOs are going to love this one. And it's from Kelly Ann Crean. It's all about why SEO should be involved from day one in website migration. So I think a lot of people will agree with that one. So I'll get the video lined up. And again, I should get better at listing these, but anyway, so here we go.
Hi everyone! Every website will have to undergo a migration at some point, and how it's managed can make or break its success. Today I want to talk to you about why SEO should be involved from day one in website migrations. Having worked on many migrations, I've seen firsthand what can go wrong when SEO is treated as an afterthought, and trust me, the consequences can be costly. I'm Kelly Ann, and I work at a digital marketing agency called Kuzai that's been around for over 19 years. Kuzai is a multi-award winning digital marketing agency and has been offering a full host of digital marketing services that are trusted and recommended by hundreds of businesses, both big and small. I am the head of operations at Kuzai. I have over 16 years of marketing and SEO experience, and I'm also a mentor for Women in Tech SEO. In this session, I will explain what is a website migration, why SEO matters in migrations, why SEO needs to be involved early, benefits of involving SEO from the start, problems caused by involving SEO too late, practical steps for SEOs and web teams to collaborate effectively, and tips for changing stakeholder perception. By the end, you'll have a clear idea of how to approach migrations the right way and avoid the usual headaches. So, when we talk about a website migration, we're really referring to any major change to your website that affects its structure or URL setup. There are a few different types of migrations. Domain changes. This is when you're moving your website from one domain to another. It's a pretty big move and it requires careful planning to make sure your SEO doesn't take a hit. Then there's HTTP to HTTPS. This is about switching to a secure protocol for your site. Not only does it make your site safer, but it also helps with SEO since Google gives priority to secure sites. Then we have platform redesigns. This is when you switch your CMS or totally change the structure and layout of your website. It's a big deal because it can affect both user experience and SEO, so it's important to plan everything out carefully. Finally, there's content overhauls. This is when you're making significant changes to your site's content or navigation structure. Basically, all of these migrations need a lot of thought and attention to ensure things go smoothly and your site's SEO doesn't suffer. A successful migration involves careful attention to technical details, such as domain names, redirects, meta tags, and content. Without SEO input from the start, sites risk facing issues like broken links, ranking drops, and traffic loss. In my 16 years in marketing, I've seen firsthand what happens when SEO is treated as an afterthought. One client came to us after launching their revamped website without any SEO support. And when I reviewed the new setup, it was a mess. Hundreds of broken internal links, no redirects for high traffic pages, a poorly structured URL hierarchy. And the impact? Organic traffic dropped by 40% in just 2 weeks. Now, I managed to recover rankings over the next few months, but during that time, the business suffered huge losses in both visibility and revenue. And here's the frustrating part. It was completely preventable. If SEO had been involved from the start, they wouldn't have had to scramble to fix costly mistakes after launch. That experience reinforced what I already knew. Early SEO involvement doesn't just smooth the process, it saves businesses from unnecessary losses in traffic, revenue, and rankings. So why does SEO matter when it comes to migrations? Well, there's a couple of key reasons. First, avoiding ranking drops is a huge one. A website migration without proper SEO planning can result in losing rankings, which means you can see a drop in traffic and visibility. This can happen if redirects aren't set up correctly or if search engines have trouble crawling your new site structure. Then there's avoiding technical issues. Migrations can introduce all kinds of technical challenges like broken links, slow page load times, or even missing metadata. If SEO isn't involved early, these issues can go unnoticed until it's too late, impacting both user experience and rankings. So involving SEO early helps make sure the migration goes smoothly and avoids these major traffic losses. There's a lot to cover when it comes to why SEO needs to be involved early, so I'll go through it over the next couple of slides. If SEO isn't involved early in a migration, things can go wrong fast. Rankings drop, traffic tanks, and fixing it later is way harder than getting it right from the start. When SEO is part of the process from day one, we can avoid all these little headaches. First, let's talk about site structure planning. Getting SEO involved from the start helps ensure the site is structured in a way that's search friendly. This avoids issues like content duplication and keyword cannibalization. Using tools like Google Analytics and Google Search Console can flag potential issues and help shape the site's design based on data rather than guesswork. I once had a client who migrated their e-commerce site without any SEO input. They missed key opportunities to optimize product pages, which ended up hurting their rankings. Next, let's talk about preserving link equity. Redirects are a big deal in any migration, and SEO ensures they're handled correctly. Without them, you risk losing valuable traffic and rankings. Google advises keeping 301 redirects in place for at least 180 days. So getting this right from the start is crucial. Next up, benchmark your rankings. Before making any major changes, it's important to back up your data and record your baseline rankings. This way you can track the impact of migration and spot any issues early. One often overlooked aspect of migrations is documenting the internal linking structure. Internal link equity can easily be lost during a migration, which can negatively affect rankings. For one client, I performed a thorough audit of their internal linking and replicated the structure on the new site. This straightforward but vital step helped preserve their organic traffic and avoid ranking drops. Internal linking is a key factor in maintaining traffic and rankings throughout the migration process. So, we've covered how early SEO involvement helps with site structure, redirects, and benchmarking rankings. But that's not the whole picture. There's also some critical technical aspects we need to get right before launch. Let's take a look at those. Technical optimization. Early SEO input ensures that critical technical elements like meta tags, canonical tags, and proper handling of 404 pages are in place before the site goes live. This prevents broken links and ranking drops that happen when these elements are overlooked. Make sure your 404 pages are not only user-friendly, but also guide users to the most relevant content, helping them stay engaged. This is another area where early SEO input ensures that 404 pages are optimized for both user experience and crawling. Customizing 404 pages with links to popular categories or a search bar can reduce bounce rates. Another key reason to involve SEO early is risk mitigation. Early SEO involvement helps spot potential risks before they turn into problems. Addressing technical issues like misconfigured redirects or slow loading pages before the site goes live saves time and money post-launch. Finally, SEO helps guide recovery. After migration, fluctuations in rankings are normal, but SEO should monitor and guide the recovery process. A calm, data-driven approach ensures that issues are dealt with methodically, allowing for a smooth recovery and traffic rebound. Avoid making knee-jerk reactions to minor ranking drops. Instead, address issues as they arise with long-term focus. It's crucial not to make quick changes to title tags or other optimizations based on early ranking fluctuations. Instead, take a calm and measured approach. Address issues as they arise, while closely monitoring progress over time. When it comes to a website migration, getting SEO involved from the very beginning can make a huge difference in the success of the project. There are 3 key benefits to bring SEO in early. First, optimized URL structures and preserving link equity. The URL structure is often overlooked, but it plays a big role in SEO. By involving SEO from the start, you can ensure URLs are search engine friendly, avoiding broken links and complicated redirects. This is key for preserving link equity, which helps maintain your rankings and visibility during the migration. Second, improved navigation and user flow. SEO isn't just about search engines, it's about the user experience. By aligning SEO with user behavior and business goals, you can improve navigation and ensure that users can easily find high conversion pages. This makes sure the site not only works well for search engines, but also provides an intuitive experience for visitors, leading to higher engagements and long-term growth. Finally, proper technical setup and avoiding future SEO mistakes. Getting SEO involved early means avoiding common migration issues like duplicate content and 404 errors. This proactive approach helps ensure your site is technically sound from day one and avoids SEO mistakes down the line. When SEO is brought in too late in the migration process, it can create several problems that are time-consuming and costly to fix. Let's take a look at these 4 key issues. First, missed optimization opportunities. SEO has a huge impact on things like site structure, content, and user experience. If SEO isn't involved early, opportunities to optimize things like URLs, meta titles, descriptions, and internal links are missed. Next, ranking drops and slow recovery. Without early SEO input, technical issues like broken redirects, slow loading pages, and improper content indexing can cause rankings to drop. Migrations can take months to fully settle, with ranking fluctuations happening during this time. It can be devastating for a business that hopes the migration would boost performance. Addressing these issues post-launch is both costly and time-consuming, and recovery can take months. Then there's content duplication and cannibalization. Without SEO involvement early on, problems like content duplication and keyword cannibalization can happen, especially when multiple pages target the same keyword. It can also lead to issues with site navigation or missing H1 tags, affecting how search engines crawl and index the site. Fixing these mistakes after launch uses up valuable time and resource that could have been avoided with SEO involvement early. Finally, strained relationships and frustration. Migrations often involve multiple teams, including marketing, development, design, and when SEO is added late, it causes friction. Changes might be made that contradict earlier decisions, which can frustrate developers and marketeers. This kind of tension can damage trust and make future collaboration more difficult. Involving SEO from the start is essential to avoid these issues and ensure the migration process goes as smoothly as possible. Practical steps for SEOs and web teams to collaborate effectively. Before the migration begins, the focus should be on preparation and communication. Start by setting clear goals, whether that's maintaining traffic, keeping rankings steady, or improving the user experience. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Communication is key. Regular updates help avoid issues later. This is also the time for SEOs to do a full audit. You need to know what's working on the site and where the potential risks are. At the same time, work with the web team to make sure the CMS can handle things like redirects and metadata. Finally, redirects are crucial. Map them out together and test thoroughly to avoid losing traffic once the migration happens. During the migration, it's all about testing and staying flexible. Make sure you're working in a staged environment first, so any issues like broken redirects or metadata errors are caught before launch. Close collaboration is essential here. No matter how much you plan, something unexpected can always pop up. Working together in real time ensures you can handle issues quickly and minimize disruption. Once the migration is complete, it's time to monitor and adjust. Look at things like redirects, rankings, and traffic. Make sure everything is working as expected. Any problems should be addressed promptly. It's also important to take a moment to acknowledge the team's success. Whether you've preserved rankings, improved site speed, or enhanced user experience, celebrate the wins. Finally, document everything. What's worked, what didn't, and what could be done differently next time. This ensures each migration becomes smoother than the last. So, over the years, I've learned that working closely with developers is one of the most important parts of SEO, especially when it comes to website migrations. Because here's the thing, SEOs bring data, developers bring technical expertise, and when we actually collaborate, what could feel like a huge challenge turns into an opportunity for real growth. It's not just about getting a site live, it's about making sure it thrives. And a big part of that comes down to communication. I found that when we take the time to explain why something matters, things like structured data, redirects, or site architecture, developers are more likely to see the bigger picture and actually get invested in making it work. And that changes everything. Suddenly, it's not just an SEO task to check off, it's a shared goal. Now, from my experience, collaboration is so much smoother when there's a foundation of trust. And trust doesn't just happen, it's built. That's why I always make the effort to be proactive. I get involved early. I join planning meetings. I make sure SEO is baked into the process from day one. I listen first. Instead of just jumping in with recommendations, I take time to understand the team's goals and challenges, so my suggestions actually feel relevant and useful. I bridge the gaps. SEO sits between marketing, development, and project management. So I act as that go-between, making sure that we're all aligned and moving in the same direction. Because here's the thing, prioritizing relationships over processes transforms team dynamic and success. When teams trust each other, work together, and actually understand the why behind what they're doing, everything runs smoother. Less friction, fewer misunderstandings, and ultimately better results for everyone. And when SEOs and developers work as a team, the whole site benefits. As SEOs, we've all been there, trying to explain again why SEO isn't something you do after launch. It can feel like an uphill battle, but here's the reality. Changing minds takes more than technical knowledge. It takes empathy, education, and a deep understanding of what really matters to stakeholders, especially when it comes to revenue. Too many clients, project managers, and developers still see SEO as a post-launch task, something to bolt on later. They don't realise the risks, the missed opportunities, but we do. So how do we shift their perception? How do we get buy-in before launch instead of fighting for fixes afterwards? Here's a few tips that have worked for me when it comes to changing minds and getting buy-in for early SEO involvement. Number 1, speak their language. The key is to align SEO with what matters most to them. For example, when I'm talking to project managers, I highlight how early SEO can save time and money by preventing delays and rework. And for clients, I always bring it back to revenue, how SEO can maintain traffic and sales post-migration. The idea is to show them how SEO supports their goals and not just mine. Number 2, share case studies. Stories can be way more effective than stats alone. I like to share real examples, like a migration where miss and redirect sent users to 404 pages, tanking traffic and costing thousands in revenue. On the flip side, I talk about wins, like when we handled redirects properly and rankings and traffic recovered almost immediately. These examples make SEO feel real and relatable, not just theoretical. Number 3, risk versus reward. I'll frame SEO in terms of what they stand to lose and gain. For instance, I'll say, without SEO, traffic dropped by 40% and the business lost £35,000 in revenue. But with SEO, we not only avoided a drop, we increased revenue by £10,000 thanks to proper planning. Tying it to financial outcomes gets their attention every time. Number 4, be patient and persistent. Changing minds doesn't happen overnight. If someone doesn't get it right away, I don't push. Instead, I stay calm and keep focusing on solutions. If something goes wrong because SEO wasn't involved early, I don't say, I told you so. I just step in and fix it. And then I show them what could have been avoided. Over time, that patience builds trust. Number 5, the human touch. At the end of the day, it's about relationships. When you meet people where they are, speak their language, and tie SEO to their success, it stops being a technical checkbox and starts being a shared goal. I've seen plenty of skeptics turn into advocates just by using these simple approaches. Ultimately, SEO isn't just about rankings, it's about results. And when stakeholders see how it connects to their goals, especially revenue, they're a lot more likely to get on board. So, to wrap things up, here are the key takeaways. First, SEO is not optional, it's essential at every stage of a migration. When SEO is involved early, businesses just don't avoid headaches, they actually unlock opportunities for smoother, more successful projects. Second, the earlier you start, the better. SEO isn't something you tack on right before launch. It's about being part of the conversation from day one, during planning and scoping. Third, effective communication is key. If you face pushback from developers or stakeholders, take the time to understand their concerns. Then respond with clear facts and examples to guide things in the right direction. Finally, proper planning and early involvement reduces risks and sets the entire project up for success. It's not just about avoiding problems, it's about driving real results for the business. By involving SEO from the beginning, Businesses not only avoid challenges, but also unlock opportunities for a smoother, more successful migration. Starting right ensures teams can focus on growth and innovation rather than damage control. The takeaway is clear. When SEO is prioritised from the start, everyone wins. That is the end of my session. I hope you found it useful. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much to Sean for letting me be part of Search with Sean. If you'd like to connect or have any questions about this topic, feel free to reach out to connect with me on LinkedIn. Thanks everyone.
Awesome, and I think we can all agree with a lot of those points. We've been involved in migrations in the past, and yeah, just a heads up, I will be adding all these videos individually onto the YouTube channel, Search with Sean. So if you haven't missed any or you want to watch it back and that kind of thing, then you will get that opportunity. And yeah, I hope it's sunny near you because it's 17 degrees. I feel like the tropical country all of a sudden. So yeah, we've got 2 more videos to go through, and the next one is from my friend Sara to hear, and it's quite a simple title, but it's a great video. It's AI and SEO, which I'm sure we're all interested in. So I'll just try and line this one up. And yeah, enjoy.
Webinar. So this section is about AI and SEO. When it comes to, I'm not going to talk about search and how AI is changing search. I'm just going to talk about how AI is changing our jobs and the way we do SEO. So let's get started. A little bit about myself. Hi, I'm Sara. I've been doing SEO for 10 years. I'm a mom. I'm an ex-startup founder. I'm a LinkedIn creator and a lot of other things. And I'm super excited about today's topic. So let's dive in. So what's going on? We know that AI is changing everything and changing search, but what about our roles and our jobs and our careers? And how are we supposed to leverage this to become better at what we do, right? So a lot of questions and a lot of things going is a great opportunity for businesses. Businesses want to adopt AI because it's cheaper and faster and better. So it does the job at a cheaper price. It does it faster, and it can do it actually better than a lot of. I don't want to be offensive, but it can do it better sometimes, or it can do better than some humans. So there is a big opportunity for businesses, and if they use AI, right? Perfect. All the things they want, cheaper, faster, better. So you may be thinking, okay, so does that mean I'm losing my job? Here's the thing. I'm going to show you some numbers and some statistics and show you that some of them are threats to our careers, but then others you can consider as opportunities, right? So, for example, AI could potentially replace around 800 million jobs worldwide by 2030. That's a huge amount of jobs. Obviously, that's a threat, right? That's something that may make you feel, oh, I'm uncomfortable. What's going to happen to my job? And then another statistic is 74% of businesses are still in an experimentation stage with AI, suggesting this suggests room for growth and optimization. So most businesses actually are not there yet. They're still experimenting and they're not sure how they can use AI. So if you jump on that trend, if you upskill yourself, you are going to have an edge in your role, right? So that's actually an opportunity. And then 75% of companies said they were looking to adapt AI within the next 5 years. This was a study in 2023. Obviously, again, oh my God, all these companies want to adapt AI. This sounds like a threat, but then when you know that 68% of business leaders feel they struggle to attract adequate talent to manage their AI solutions, not many people are able to use AI solutions. So it's a struggle. It's a big thing. And if you upskill yourself, if you get on this trend, if you learn how to use AI, you are actually future-proofing your career and you are giving yourself an edge in the job market. And then there are 2 more things. AI hallucinates. It's always going to need, or at least for now, we know it needs a human operator. So that's an opportunity for us. And then one last thing, studies show that programmers who are using AI were able to code 126% more projects per week than programmers not using the technology. This is an opportunity for you if you're a freelancer, for example. This means you can take on more work, right? And do it in less time. If you're working in a company, this means you can finish more work in less time. So it's an opportunity for you to excel at what you do, right? So everything you can look at from two sides. It can be an opportunity, it can be a threat. So what should we be doing? Are you going to lose your job? Again, the same question. It really depends. So let's take a scenario. If you're a copywriter and for the past 10 years, you've been writing an article, let's say a minimum of 2 to 4 hours, obviously it can take more, but let's just for sake of simplicity, let's say you take 2 to 4 hours to write an article for $100. That's how it has been going on for you. If you look at this here screenshot, this is from an AI writing tool, and you can get 25 articles for $99 per month. And the like, how good is this article? It's okay, it's acceptable level. It's not awesome, it's not great, it's acceptable. So, and if you think about this, okay, how can you compete with a tool that can generate 80 articles for $300 a month? So it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's better. And when I say it's better than a lot of mediocre copywriters. Obviously, you don't want to be a mediocre copywriter. So how can you compete with this, right? And keep in mind that this tool can also translate the content. So it's like you, if you're a copywriter, you may feel that your job is being impacted. But what's happening here is the bar for writing content just got higher. Mediocre content is not gonna have any demand anymore because AI can do the basic, a good piece of content, right? A good place to start for less. So don't compete there. That's not where you want to compete. You need to adapt or you're gonna die. So you think about this. You want to be a good copywriter and you want to use the tools. Don't think of yourself as going up against the tools. You are using the tools, right? So you have copywriters who don't use AI, you have AI content, and then you have copywriters who use AI. And this is the best combination, right? If you're a good copywriter and you use AI, you're going to beat good copywriters and you're going to beat AI. Your content is going to have a better and higher quality. So that's where you want to be. You want to upskill yourself. You want to be really good at what you do. You don't want to be a mediocre writer. You want to be very specialized, very well. I don't know, like whatever skills you need to be a good copywriter, and the knowledge. Maybe you want to specialize in specific area or areas. You want to add more skills, and you want to be very skilled at what you do, and you want to use AI. So that's how you adapt. So, and actually this can be applied to any field. Like you can say, hey, I'm an SEO. Yeah, you're an SEO. There's a future where there can be AI agents, for example, doing parts of your job. If keyword research for you is just plugging competitor URL in a third-party tool and pulling all the keywords, that's really not gonna help you or protect your position in the industry or protect your career. You need to do better than that, right? So this same mindset should be applied. You need to learn to use the tools and you need to be skilled at what you do. Mediocrity has no place anymore because that's what AI can do easily, right? Okay, so here's something to think about. There's this quote by Steve Jobs, and if you've been following me, you know that I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs. So he said by 1986, we're going to ship more computers than automobiles in this country. This was something weird to say, or was something new. Wow, there's going to be more computers than automobiles. You know, like, wow, more computers than cars. And I think there is going to be a time where we're going to say something like this about AI. So this learning how to use AI today is going to be the equivalent of learning how to use computers when they started going to the workplaces, when people started yay, you need to learn to use this to do your job. This is the direction AI is gonna, or the trend AI is gonna follow, in my opinion. So there's gonna be a time where you need to learn AI to do the job. It's not gonna be, can you do SEO without a computer? Of course not. Can you do SEO without AI? That's how it's gonna be. That's how important AI is gonna be for our jobs, in my opinion, in the future, right? Okay. If you're still skeptical, let me show you an example. This is actually recent. Someone posted a job vacancy for an AI agent. Humans are not allowed to apply. And there is a future where AI you can have, you build your own agents and you apply, send it to, or apply for jobs on their behalf, and they can do the job. You're not doing the job. You're not running AI agents. That's a world that, or that's something we should be able to visualize, that it can be a reality. So you may be running a group of agents. For example, you can have an agent to do technical audit, and for Shopify stores specifically, or for WordPress or whatever backend. You can have an agent to do on-page optimization, where it's, for example, someone hires that agent, they get access to their Search Console data, they analyze which pages should be optimized, they pull the content on this page, those pages, do some research and find what else can be added, what entities are missing, optimize the title tags, maybe add an image as well, and optimize all the elements on the page, and update that on the CMS. If, let's say, if it's a WordPress or a Shopify, they can actually automatically update that they're taking action, right? And then they can actually measure, did this work or not, and then create like some sort of feedback loop and update. Like, they can actually do this. An AI agent can actually automate this entire process. So you can also create an agent to do an SEO opportunity analysis. So in that, there's a world or a reality we should imagine where jobs are going to be asking for agents to do specific jobs or perform specific tasks, and we are going to be creating those AI agents. Obviously, that's not the only way I imagine the future, but that's one way some of the tasks out there is going to be like. So the question is, hey, there's an AI revolution. It's changing the way we work. Are you in? And I think you should. Okay. So you may be saying, okay, Sarah, I'm very interested. Now I want to know how I can use AI for doing SEO. Okay, there are two things. One is using AI for doing the keyboard work, which is the actual work you do, your keyword research, your tech audits, and so on. That's an area where you want to use AI as your assistant. And then there's optimizations, and I'm going to discuss that a bit later, so stay tuned. So let's start with using AI as your assistant. Let's say you're a senior SEO and you have a junior or a new person to SEO who's helping you to do keyword research, or not necessarily new, I would say a junior who's helping you do keyword research. This is how you can use AI, for example, right? So what you want to do is if you're asking yourself, how can I use AI in my workflows, in my job? First of all, you need to find your use case. You need to find, okay, what can I use AI in? What sort of tasks can I automate with AI? You want to look for repetitive tasks. And there are two ways to find those tasks. Number one is to analyze your workflows. Every task you're doing, break it down and see, okay, for example, for me, Sarah, I like to analyze SERP times for a keyword. So if I'm sending recommendations for a blog for a keyword, I would like to pull the top 100 results, get their titles, find the most common words, and then use AI like ChatGPT or any other LLM to create suggested titles based off the most common keywords, the most common words found in the titles in search, and the input keyword that I gave the software in the beginning, right? And this is, for example, a small task that can be automated with AI. So you need to dig deeper into what you do and find things that are just repetitive, and it's okay to pass on to AI. Another thing is, and it's really straightforward, go to ChatGPT or Claude or any LLM and just chat with it and ask it, okay, what type of tasks can be automated with AI in SEO or in keyword research or in tech audit? And it's going to give you some ideas. And don't just take them at face value, dig even deeper. Let's say collecting data from Google Keyword Planner, Ahrefs, SEMrush, and other tools. Okay, how could this be automated with AI, and what sort of thing? Like, keep digging deeper till you come up with a workflow like this diagram I have here. This is what you want to have in mind, a use case, and you have a clear understanding of what exactly this AI is going to be doing. And then the second thing, which is, I think this is the challenge right now. There's so many tools, so many stuff saying, hey, we're using AI to help you. And you need to decide which tools you're going to use. Okay, you need to learn a few things. You need to understand what's an API. If you're not familiar with coding, you may not be familiar with what an API is. So I'm going to explain it to you right now to get that off your list. An API is basically, and think of it as a waiter in a restaurant where you give it a request for data. It takes it to the kitchen, prepares the data, and brings it back. So if you want data from Search Console, you're going to use Search Console API. If you want data from Ahrefs, you'll use Ahrefs API, right? So to get whatever data you want. So now we understand what an API is. So you need to understand for your task, what specific APIs are you going to need? For this one, for example, for my workflow, I will need the SERP API because I want to pull the top 100 results. So you're going to use that API, ask it for the top 100 results, and then it's going to go get this data and return it back to you, right? Okay, and then you need to decide also what other tools you're going to be using. Are you going to automate this with LLMs? And I really think you should be using ChatGPT for your simple day-to-day tasks, right? Or are you going to use it, create your AI or automate using Python? Are you going to use custom GPT or an AI agent? And here is what I recommend. Everyone needs to learn how to use LLMs in their day-to-day. And then you need to learn at least one of those things here, right? Python or custom GPT or AI agent, one of those. I picked up Python and I'm looking for AI to learn about AI agents. Maybe you want to go for custom GPTs. So pick something. I would say leave AI agents as your second thing or your third thing, right? So LLMs, master that. And then choose Python or custom GPTs to be familiar with automation. And then maybe you can go to AI agents. And the reason I'm putting this sequence is I think AI agents are more advanced and you need some understanding and some experience playing around with creating workflows and automation before you jump on agents. But maybe if you want to, you can totally jump directly to that. So LLMs and one of those three skills at least, right? And then create and test. So I think this is one of the things that you will need to learn as you start learning how to automate and build automations. So here's a screenshot from Jonathan Bischoff, and Jonathan is creating a lot of great, cool automations. You can follow him on LinkedIn. So he says here it took him about 20 hours and 2 weeks of testing and improving to make an AI-powered on-page SEO assistant, not suck, to make it good, right? Why did it take him that long? And you may say, okay, but I can do that. Like I can do the actual on-page work in less time. That's true, but he created this tool now, or this assistant now that he's going to be using over and over and over, and you spend so much building, but it's going to be saving you a lot of time moving forward, right? But the thing here I want to highlight is creating and testing is going to take time, right? So what do you need to learn at this stage, or what do you need to learn to be successful in actually creating an automation with AI? You need to learn prompting. I think prompting is one of the things we have made fun of a lot. Hey, prompt engineer, ha ha ha. It's not a real job, or whatever people say. Actually, it is. And you need to learn how to prompt. Most of us are not using ChatGPT the right way. If you're not prompting right, you're not going to be getting the best output you can. So please take a moment to master how you should prompt LLMs. And then another thing is QA. You need to learn to QA the output of whatever automation you're creating. So when I created this automation, for example, I need to spot check and double check that it's correct. It did the things correctly. Don't just trust, hey, because there's an output coming out of it, it means it's definitely correct. It may not. That's not necessarily true. So you need to be able to test and double check and perform some quality assurance. You need to know how to design a workflow like the diagram I shared. And in my opinion, and I highly recommend you spend some time understanding how a code works, basic understanding. You may not necessarily need to start with this, but this is something I highly recommend you put on your upskilling road. Okay, so let's look at some examples of automations. On the right here, I automated generation of meta descriptions with Python and LLMs. I give it a list of URLs, pulls the URLs, reads the content on the page, and creates a meta description and outputs it in a CSV file like this. Pretty straightforward. I know meta descriptions are not important, but this is for the sake of an example, right? And then we have here Elias Dabas on LinkedIn. I also recommend you follow him. A lot of cool stuff. He created an AI-powered bulk content audit tool, and it used LLMs and generative AI to, for example, evaluate which of the guidelines your article satisfies when we talk about Google Help Content Checker tool, right? So it gives the articles a score and a lot of things. It does a lot of things. So this is another example of something you can automate. If you have as I said, if you have a repetitive task, if you have specific checks you need to be done, this is something you should definitely consider automating. Okay. So we talked about AI to give us an output, but now we want to talk about AI that actually does the job like you do it. What do I mean by that? AI agents. The difference between an AI agent and just an LLM is that AI agent can take action. So an LLM is just like a brain and it has a mouse. AI agent is a brain and it has a mouse and it also has hands to do the tasks. What do I mean by this? So an AI agent can open a spreadsheet, right? It has knowledge and you specify what its knowledge base is. So it can be some spreadsheets, a specific website, for example, so it can check its knowledge. It has a memory and it uses LM for some reasoning, and it can also come up with an output and go and execute it on its tool. So it can send an email on your behalf. It can, for example, interact with other users on a Slack bot. It can book a meeting for you. It can update blogs on a WordPress website. So AI agents, you're building your own personal assistant which can actually execute tasks. So what does that mean for you? It means more, you can actually finish more work in less time. It means you'll have more time for yourself to learn new things, be creative, and test new things. And think, as I said earlier, think of a world where you're managing an army of an AI agents. Okay? So, what is the difference? As I said, what's the difference between AI agents and LLMs? An AI agent and LLMs have cut off training data, right? They have if you ask them, hey, what happened in January 2025, they have no idea. These are screenshots from Claude AI. I know that ChatGPT now can connect to the internet and so on, but that's not the case for all LLMs. So they have some limitations on the knowledge, right? And then LLMs cannot take action in the real world. As I said, there are brains with mouths, but they don't have hands. So, for example, if you ask Claude, can you send an email to my friend? And it's just going to tell you, I can help you draft an email, but I can't actually send emails myself since I'm an AI assistant without the ability to directly send messages or access email systems. An agent can actually do that. It also has limited memory. The memory is, if you start a new conversation on your LLM, it may not remember, depending on which LLM you use, it may not remember your previous conversation, right? So it has some limitations, and you may think, oh, this is not a lot of limitations. It is when you actually want to do advanced and more complex tasks. Okay, so there are two ways to build an AI agent, either no-code AI agents or solutions that require coding and Python. I really recommend you play around with N8N, Make.com, and AirOps. As you can see, the screenshot, the first screenshot is a workflow, right? We discussed that you need to learn how to build a workflow. So as you can see, this is a workflow, a diagram. So we need to know, okay, this is an AI agent. It receives messages, for example. It's going to use OpenAI. It has memory. It's going to connect to your Google Calendar to book a meeting, for example. So you just need to have your workflow clear and what this AI agent, this assistant of yours is going to be able, you're going to give access to or be able to do on your behalf. And then here's at the bottom, this is make.com. I was building an automation to, I have a form, people apply to join my Slack and they enter their emails, and the agent will read those emails every time someone, you can adjust on the how periodic you want this to happen. So let's say every week it's going to check for all the new emails that has been added to this form and connect to Slack on my behalf and add the users on my behalf and also send me a message telling me, hey, Sarah, I have added those people. So it's working as my personal assistant. Is this, and it's not using any LLMs right now, right? So it's a basic automation, but I think there may be some opportunity to add an LLM, for example. It can help you moderate actually. So for now, that's what I'm going after, just the basic thing. Once I get that working, I can add more features if I need to. And this is how I wanted to explore automations. Start basic, test it, make sure it's working, and then add more features. And as I said, it's good to start with no code solutions. Code solutions are more advanced, will give you more functionality and more flexibility, but it's okay. I think you should start first with no code solutions. Okay, to this diagram where we discussed AI and SEO. So we said the keyboard work, your work, you need a personal assistant, and then there is AI for the actual optimizations. What do I mean by that? The most famous example that's very clear is, let's say you want to launch 1,000 pages in one click. So you have the list of keywords you want to create pages for. Let's build a workflow, right? And then you are going to run those keywords by an LLM to create a unique text for each of those keywords. And then this is where you're going to fine tune a prompt. And then you can actually get the output, and then you can use an AI agent to create those pages on your CMS. It can also have text, maybe add an image, specify the URL, optimize URL, and the title tags and more. So this can be as complex or as simple of a task you want, and it can be done with one click, right? You can have an agent that does the entire process for you. As I said, it can go as far as adding even images, adding alt text to images, Optima, internal links. It can do everything for you when it's creating those pages. Or you could just say, I want a basic automation where I give it a list of keywords and get a list of paragraphs, and I will do the creation myself. But as I said, the future is using AI agents. This is something you may want to consider doing. It's going to automate your entire process, make your life way easier. Yeah, so that's that for today. It's a lot. And the purpose of this session is not to teach you how to use exactly, how to create exactly an AI agent, or how to use a specific tool, or how to build an automation. The purpose of this session is to show you the options and what you can do and what you should be learning. So I hope I give you enough motivation for you to dig into. I give some names for tools I recommend you play around with. I listed some skills I highly recommend you try to and add to your skill set, like building a workflow and using prompts properly and using LLMs properly. Hope you found this useful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a good one. Thank you for listening so far. Bye.
Wow, that was awesome. A lot of food for thought there, and thanks, Sarah. But yeah, it just shows SEO. The future of SEO is actually really exciting, scary at times as well, I guess. But generally, there's a lot to look forward to as well. So yeah, we're finishing off. Last video. This one's really cool. It's from Bibi, the link builder. You may have heard of her before. And I've recently just published a video when we had a we had a chat and we did some case studies to go over different kind of websites and link building strategies. And this one was actually shot previous to that. But similar vibes. It's just a chapter in us. I've had to chop it up a bit because it went on. We talked for a long time, you know. So we just, I chopped up a little bit to kind of make it digestible for this event. But yeah, so enjoy. And this is the last video. So yeah, please do go and check out the channel on YouTube. Search for Sean. And yeah, thanks to all the guests that have kind of submitted their videos and got involved. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for tuning in, or if you're tuning in later on and watching it back again, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So yeah, let's get the video going. Hopefully it's the right one. And yeah, speak soon. Hello, yes. So this is a special video. It's one of our usual ones that we do because this is already pre-recorded for Search with Sean Live. So I'll first introduce my guest and then we'll get cracking on some topics. So yeah, I'm excited to welcome Bibi Raven, also known as Bibi the Link Builder, as you can see, an expert in creative and effective link building strategies with 7 to 8 years of experience. Bibi has helped countless businesses improve their online presence by designing campaigns that combine data-driven strategy with a human touch. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I've been trying to get you on for ages and there's been so much going on in our lives, but thankfully we've got sat down now and let's talk links.
Yeah, let's talk some links, dude.
So yeah, first of all, we've got a couple of kind of case studies that go like the kind of couple of the usual scenarios that people come up against. So then we're picking out a few websites just to go over and see the possibilities in terms of link building opportunities. So yeah, generally I'll just throw the first case study out there and get your opinion, and maybe I can chip in, but you're the expert in this area. So a major site links to your brand, but then removes the link. How would you go around identifying this loss and reclaiming it? And yeah, I have some viewpoints on this afterwards, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So if it's a link that I built, right, I would be monitoring it. So in Ahrefs or somewhere else, and just I would see that it's lost, and then I would reach out. If it's a link that we got passively, it would also show up in Ahrefs in a backlink report as a lost link. And again, I would reach out and just ask, oh, maybe you did a rewrite or something, or you had this reference, or and then just ask for it back. Yeah, it sounds really dumb, but just asking for it usually works. It also depends, of course, on the context where the link lives. If it's something that's maybe potentially outdated, or it's pointing to something that's not really at the quality where we want it to be, I would explain this to the editor and say, hey, I noticed you removed this, maybe because it's the data from 2023, but we updated to 2024. Something really interesting came out of that, so could you refer back to it?
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I check these things quite regularly via Ahrefs. They are some of the easier links to kind of reclaim, but obviously, like you say, it's all in context. So if you do look and it's massively out of date, then there's probably no point in going to them unless you have got, like you say, that updated content. But for me, it's just and when I do this thing and I contact the publishers, the one thing, and I'm sure you've said this many times, but just make it as easy as possible for them to find it where it's linked to, step by step as much as you can. So they've just got to then do a few little clicks and it's back on. Just don't be too vague, because then it'll just they'll just get bored and probably just close the email, not even get back to you, or just be quite blunt with their replies. So yeah, that's cool. And then so the next one was kind of your task with building links for a company who's in a heavily regulated industry like healthcare or finance. There's gambling as well. Where outreach opportunities are limited, obviously. So what would your strategy be?
Yeah, so I don't do gambling links, so that's one. But otherwise, if it's a sensitive niche or highly regulated niche, then I always talk to the lead before they become a client if they're open to looking into corners where their competitors aren't looking, look into related topics that are not directly about their product, right? Because that's much easier to link to. So if the client or lead have a very focused mind just on their products, and it's already going to be hard to get links to it, that's usually a project that I can't do in the way that I build links, because my links are based on talking to an editor and convincing them of the value, right? But if they're open to it, then I take the client on and we talk about, okay, so how can we make the site look less dangerous to link to, or where can we find places where there are companies that cater to the same audience, but they're not competing with you, and what do they care about? What are their goals? And that's a way to open up to broaden the conversation, so it's not just about this sensitive or highly regulated topic.
So how would you go around that? Would you build kind of like data so you can then outreach around the data, or or is it just coming up with different kind of blog ideas and outreach
Yeah.
or...
Yeah, so stuff like that. So when you look at linkable assets, there are, I think, like 50 types of linkable assets. So you can think of data, comparative study, a calculator, a generator, or just a glossary term, something. Sometimes it's something really, really boring, like a table of units, measurement units, things like that. But of course, it doesn't sound very commercial. So for some clients, that's really hard to wrap their head around. How does this help me if I get links to that? But yeah, if they're open to it, then that's definitely a way that I want to go.
So yeah, a startup client with a new low authority website wants to rank for obviously like some competitive terms within a short period. They probably got the directors breathing down their neck and they need to rank stuff. What link building tactics would you prioritize here?
Oh, it's really a tough one. If it's a highly competitive keyword and they're just starting out,
Yeah,
so probably more, but two things that I think of now. So one is a PR campaign. I don't think that would guarantee ranking, but it would put you on a map and boost your domain, right? And get a lot of eyeballs and maybe also leads. But the other thing would be to look at a use of the products that nobody else has thought of before, or that hasn't grown yet, right? And that's where I would look. So then, yeah, it's a little bit cheating because they wouldn't rank for the keywords that they wanted to rank for, but they'll rank for different segments of the audience that other people haven't looked at yet. Their competitors haven't looked at yet. So yeah, it's a little bit cop out because it's not actually, it wouldn't rank them for their head keyword, right? But it might bring them customers that they didn't, that nobody has been thinking of. So
yeah. I mean, I just think off my head, like Airbnb, when they came along, obviously there was people renting out apartments for years, but they were doing stuff differently. They're coming up with kind of strange place you could stay in, like a UFO and stuff like that. And obviously that was getting a lot of sort of traction. So like you say, thinking outside the box, just because you may just be another AI based company that, supplying whatever, but it doesn't mean that you can't think outside the box. And that's the only,
yeah,
like anything, like any restaurant, if you open up a new restaurant, can you come up with a slight angle that makes your products, your brand a little bit different so people talk and link to it, and it starts going viral a bit. So
yeah, I think the angle word is a really good one because when you look at supplements, right, it's a very competitive and oversaturated niche. But there are some problems that now get more coverage. So if you angle your supplements towards that, like for instance perimenopause, right, which is getting a lot of buzz right now, you could find other customers. And another thing is with supplements, and that was from years back, but you could take your supplement and then make it into a gummy shape. And it's the same supplement that other people are taking, but it's just a gummy, and people love that stuff. So, yeah, you could just stick gummy in your keywords, and then it might get some traction.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So basically, what we discussed prior to the call is that we were going to look at a couple of random websites that we've just thought about based off what we're interested in and what's going on in the world and what's popular. And then we're just going to look over them and put ourselves in that position and see what kind of possible outreach strategies we could take if we were in those shoes. And also, if we see anything else SEO based that we might want to do better. But it's not a dig. If anyone owns this website, then it's just trying to be helpful.
Okay, that's a good thing to say. That's a good disclaimer.
So this is our first example. Obviously, we looked at kind of personal trainers. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to bop around the site or we'll take you from here, but kind of where would you go with the personal trainer side of it?
Yeah, so of course I would check this site on mobile, but as well, just to see how it works. What I normally do is that I ask the person that owns the company, I ask them 25 questions, and it has to do with what they're focused on right now, what their audience is all about, all those things. So I learn a lot about their company and what kind of links they would like or not, right? But we'll skip all of that. So I would just basically look at their competitors as well in Ahrefs and see what are their top pages in terms of links. And I wouldn't just look at their direct competitors, but also at their topical competitors, so people that talk about the same stuff, but they're maybe not competing with them, and see what their top pages are, just to get some ideas, for what kind of pages get a lot of links. And then I would also use the Content Explorer and put some topics in there that I get from the questionnaire, but also from looking at the site and looking at the competitors, and see what kind of content gets a lot of traction. So in Ahrefs, you can filter on the amount of links that a piece of content gets, or the amount of social shares on Pinterest, for instance. So Pinterest could also be a good one because it seems like this could be the audience for that, or Twitter or whatever. But then after I have some ideas for linkable assets, I would also do a little bit of a content audit. So if you, not like a super official content audit, but I would just look at their blog and see what would be a good linkable asset. So let's see if they have a blog, because this is this is a trainer. Look what's so is this her blog?
Easier.
Oh yeah.
I think there'll be here around health
Yeah.
and nutrition.
So we can give her the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, she literally wants to write about this stuff. But is this the whole blog?
Yeah, I think it's
Oh
not
wow. Okay, so
not got much there.
yeah.
But,
So judging, so set aside the notion that this probably is somebody who's selling things or something. If I look at her blog, can you go back? Sorry.
yeah.
Overview. Yeah. Okay, so she talks about incorporating Pilates. She talks about should we all be taking NADs, and then something about a treatment. Oh, it's Botox or something. Okay, and then simple exercise to do at home for beginners. Now I'm going to ask you a question, right? Let's say that you're in this sort of realm of wellness and fitness and workouts. If you look at these articles, do they look link worthy to you?
I mean, the one we just went on isn't really, I'll go on this one, but obviously with an exercise one like this that I do look at a lot of the times, you would expect imagery or video or, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's so many of these sort of ones. It's not very user friendly, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, so you said a couple of
Yeah.
things there that really makes sense. So one is the quality of the article. It doesn't look very good. There are no images. There's no explanation. Da da da. The other thing is that it looks very generic. Something that there are thousands of these. Maybe it's even written by AI or something. And the other thing, I don't know. The third thing, you said something else that was really cool, but I don't remember. It's not. It's really, really it's below bar, basically, of anything. I mean, anybody in a niche would be like, nah, I'm not going to link to that. It doesn't tell me anything new. It's not a great resource. So in this
No
case,
internal linking either. No real call to actions either, is there?
what do you mean call to actions?
Well, just telling them to check out such and such on the site, or like no internal link
Right.
to any other pages. There's no
Yeah. So
at all.
yeah, so internal linking is also really important. That's a really good point. It should link to something that's gonna maybe bring some ROI, or something that's natural and relevant, right? You don't always have to do that. You can also keep a linkable asset really clean in those sense, and then build links and then add it after, right? Because sometimes when there's something really commercial in the article, it shouts to an editor, oh, this is just a self-serving piece, so I'm not going to link to that because they just want to make money off it. So that's the best choice for the person themselves. But so what I would do is that I would think of something that's really trending or current, or that not many people are talking about, and that could be something to do with menopause, and with pelvic instability or something like that. And that could be a real linkable asset, because that could be something that people don't know yet. So yeah. And then I would reach out to physical therapists, or other companies that are not competing with me, but they have the same audience. So it could even be office chairs or something like that, if you talk about pelvic instability or things. You can reach out to bloggers, but it's a little bit risky nowadays, because they could get hit, anytime. And then that site isn't worth much anymore. So I would only reach out to bloggers that are actual brands, or strong publishers, or real people.
Yeah, I mean, I think this particular website has a lot of potential, in terms of content you could make, in terms of meal prep. They've got retreats, so they can talk about their retreats and the locations that these retreats are based in, and obviously, like you say, healthy eating and all the different kind of treatments they do about those. And yeah, there's, like you say, there's so many opportunities. Obviously, if you can reach out to like experts and stuff, it's going to give you a lot better. Obviously, with EAT, but also with trying to get backlinks, it makes it a bit more viable in terms of the opportunities there.
Yeah, and like you say, you always have to think of how the editors views your site, right? Your link prospect. That when they look at your site, they should see experts, and they should see a lot of authenticity, and that will increase your linking chance.
Yeah, sweet. And just before I let you go, we'll go through
Oh,
one
I thought
more.
you were gonna do another example. Oh yes, that's what you're saying. Okay, cool. Let's do it.
So yeah, this is the next kind of example we've got. So this would be cool. So this is like an AI internal sort of design website, I guess, driven by AI.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would be an interesting one. Obviously, there's a lot of sort of news and talk around AI, and seems quite a different sort of take on it. So I guess that would help.
Yeah, I don't see it, by the way. I'm not sure if you're already showing it, but
Oh, we're not on it.
no.
Oh, there we go. I'm
Yeah,
talking
here we
and
go. Great.
not on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll say it now. So this is an AI driven website around interior design, So as I say, this would, there's a lot of talk about AI and new solutions to things. So this could get a lot of traction if it's done well, I think, based on what I'm looking at now.
Yeah, I'm looking with you.
Yeah, it seems like it's addressing a problem using artificial intelligence, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so the product is cool, so that already helps, right? For link building. Um and I see they have resources, so that's maybe, or they have blogs here as well. Creating flexibility,
Mm.
adaptable, removable furniture, DIY process easy to. Okay, maybe if you could click on one of these blog pieces, then I can take a look. So immediately I think about Pinterest.
Medium.
Yeah,
It's on Medium. That's it.
no. Oh, the blog is on Medium. Oh, what do you think
Yeah.
about that? Do you like that?
I mean, thing is, I've had it before where press releases have been sitting on Medium and they get a lot of the link equity, like they get a lot of good backlinks point to them, but you're not going to get much of that, only if you're linking through these blogs back to your site. So
Yeah,
it's it. Yeah,
there
it's a
must be a
tricky one.
there must be a thought behind it. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I like to have everything on the site, but and to to work on your own stuff and not be dependent on a platform. But maybe they use it because Medium is a bigger domain or something, and because they're just starting out and they're using it. I don't know. What do you think they're using Medium?
They might not have the CRM system that offers a blog possibility, or that it doesn't suit with their style, or
Yeah,
I mean, I would expect if you're in this market, you would probably it would have that, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't have the functionality. I don't
yeah.
know. I
No,
wouldn't
no.
do otherwise.
Yeah. So one of the first things we would probably do is have the stuff be on their blog. So the other thing I would do is to come up with ideas for content that could be linkable. I would use the Content Explorer of Ahrefs, and then you put in, for instance, a small room or something like a topic, and then you can, in if you use the filters in Ahrefs in the Content Explorer, you can filter it on the Pinterest repins. And I would go with a really big number. So filter it on, I don't know, 100,000 repins, because then you can see all the blog pieces that are repinned over 100,000 times on Pinterest around the topic small room. And what I would also do is look at which kind of sites get those many repins, because sometimes it's a really big site that gets repinned a lot anyway. Like for instance apartment therapy, so I would take that with a grain of salt but still look at the content. And sometimes there are spammers as well, so but you can really recognize those very easily. So you try to find content that really got that many repins just because people really liked it, and that's content that has an indication of working well as a linkable asset, and that I would probably create for the blog, or maybe do a play on it, right? Because you don't want to exactly copy stuff. Um, and and I would also look at what the stuff they have now. So what is this? This is their okay.
So
Uh,
they've got news, tutorials, products
yeah.
and outlets.
The problem is I almost feel like everything is written by AI. Because if I and of course that's because they're AI, right? They're the AI tool. But it's there's something called AI cheese. Um, I came up with that term. Nobody else is using it, unfortunately. So what I mean with AI cheese is that AI really favors a list of words like elevating, cultivating, from X to Y, all those kind of words, and you can recognize quite quickly what's written by AI. Yeah, I would. So one of the things that on TikTok, I think it's on TikTok, there's this guy called most modern or something, or modern something, and he's a feng shui expert. And he does really cool thing with miniature 3D printed interior, and he shows you the different ways to set up a room and how it affects the feng shui in a room. So that's maybe a linkable asset that I would come up with that you have a custom GPT that's trained on feng shui that you can upload. For instance, you can take a picture of your room and it transforms it to a what's the platform that they show of a room, the layout or something, the blueprint, the blueprint.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So they would show the AI has a blueprint of your room, and then it maybe it asks you some additional questions, and then according of that it gives you a score, right? Your room is minus or something like that, but it would just, yeah, like here they have that a little bit as well. That's the whole tool, right? So that could be a really great linkable asset, I think, because people would love that stuff. But the tool itself is also very interesting. So yeah, and then I would reach.
Sorry, no, I was going to say that could it be a good one for this kind of tool, if you have got a tool or a function that people can use, then obviously you can look at you can use things like Hrefs to look at where your competitors have been listed. It might be like people have made lists about the best tools that answer this problem, and obviously if you're a new company, you can try and get added to those lists along with your competitors, or even tell them that yours does so much more than all the competitors because you're new.
Yeah.
Would they be interested in building like another article about you or that sort of angle?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I would absolutely do that. So reach out to where similar tools are listed, or tools that cater to the same audience, because your tool doesn't necessarily have to compete with the other tools, can just be an added thing, right? So that would be a really great way to start it off. And yeah, and then also reach out to companies that like furniture companies or something like that. Anything that's related, color, even color psychologists, or it's endless. If you look at if you're very narrow about your product, you only have a really set amount of prospect lists. But if you're looking into building a network around your audience, that opens up so much more possibilities, and that even goes beyond links. I've had clients where they actually found really great affiliate partners through link building that brought them a lot more money than the links. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you made a valid point all throughout this, is that you got to think a bit outside your box. So
Yeah.
work out who your actual users are, your main groups of users, and think about what kind of things that connect you to them. But it may not be just generally directly the product you're trying to sell. Think a bit more outside of the scope of that, and what kind of things they're interested in, and that kind of obviously PR is slightly different, because when you got to link it quite well to your product, or it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. When you see gambling sites trying to come up with some angles that make no sense, and then they get backlinks that way. But generally, I think you could. I think that's the best angle to take. We've done it before obviously when I worked at in the health sector, selling supplements like you're discussing before, and obviously there's so much more to it. There's the health and looking after yourself side of it. There's we did everything from hair care to pregnancy to baby care. All these, if you're trying to sell baby supplements, and obviously they've got a baby, so that you got to think what else comes into play when you're giving them supplements. You think about what to feed them, sleep, all that sort of caring side. So yeah, it's definitely good angle.
Yeah, and you can use AI for that as well, for coming up with those topics or seeds or whatever. You just use words like so I looked I looked a lot into relevancy, because I was trying to get some results, because AI was also very right, very narrow. And I was trying to get some results from AI that were thinking a little bit broader or lateral or whatever. So I looked into relevancy and what types of relevancies there are. And because I don't know this stuff, right? I remember a little bit from ontology, but not a lot. But there are words like tangential and adjacent and shoulder niches and those kind of words. Even what's the other thing? Nah, I forgot. But all those words, if you use them with AI, they can unlock topics and prospect lists that you would normally not think of. So really, you really look into relevancy or ontology and use it at your advantage.
Yeah, and also another tool, like we've been talking about HRMs quite a lot in this video, but
Yeah.
I do like their intent tool. You know, when you look at certain key terms and topics, and they tell you based on the SERPs what kind of intent is behind when people search for this keyword. I think that could come into it, because if you are creating a bit of content, but obviously, you know, we have all our ideas on what people are searching for, but this is usually actual intel to tell you these are actually the search intents behind those terms. So you might be able to create content from something that you wouldn't even think was connected. There you go, and that's that. I've had enough hearing about myself there. It's always weird watching yourself back. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone, or you watching on replay. Obviously, as I say, I'll be uploading all the individual videos onto the YouTube channel. Search for Sean, and I've got loads of more stuff coming up. Just to end, you know, I've got the latest SEO and AI news coming up. More of that, and then also more kind of interviews, more panel shows. So lots going on. So do make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for their videos. They're all, but yeah, take care all. Enjoy the sun if it's out still, and take care. Bye bye.